Right now, tracking the latest in the Atlantic, where things stand now and what you can do to prepare.
We got multiple reports of an active shooter, possibly coming from a boat.
Then a mass shooting in a popular section of North Carolina. What we know about the investigation as a person of interest is being questioned at this hour. Now on the news at 7.
Your first alert. This is WMBF News, today at 7.
We do have a lot to get to this morning as we are first alerting you to the very latest on the tropics and the updated First Alert forecast. I'm Eric Richards. We're live on TV and wherever you stream, let's get right over to meteorologist Andrew Dockery, who's been keeping a close eye on the latest models. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, and overall, we continue to give you good news here as we begin on your Sunday. Yes, we will still see impacts. We still do not have Imelda, but we will as we go into the forecast later today. Hurricane hunters continuing to work around the clock. We here at WMBF doing a lot of the same. New update coming in, still 35-mile-per-hour winds, moving already pretty slow to the north-northwest now at 7 miles per hour. That forecast track calling for a tropical storm, but how about the encouraging trends showing this is going to work its way as a Category 1 hurricane to our south and then start to take a turn off to the east. Now keep in mind, just because this will not be a landfall does not mean we're out of the woods just yet. The outer edge of that cone, about 210 miles to that. And remember, this cone will represent just where that center of the storm could go. So what does that mean? Well, as we go throughout the day, notice we'll go into the forecast, likely seeing Imelda form later on, probably by the middle of the day here, and then working its way into some warm waters, likely developing. While it's sitting there, tropical moisture going to start to be swung into the Grand Strand. That's where we will start to see rounds of downpours and also tropical storm force winds along the beaches. Notice tropical impacts, highlighting Monday and Tuesday. New data now dry for Wednesday. We'll time all this out for you coming up in that certified most accurate forecast.
You know what? Now is a great time for you to download the First Alert Weather app so you'll be the first to know about the tropical developments. We have the only team in town pushing out video updates daily as we wait for the very latest information to come in. Again, scan that QR code on your screen or simply search First Alert Weather in your app store.
So you never know how bad it's going to be. This one does not look as strong as it looked yesterday. That could change tonight. Tomorrow it could be much stronger.
South Carolina officials say while the forecast has improved, this storm still poses a significant threat, as Andrew just said as well. Governor Henry McMaster held a news briefing yesterday to lay out preparations and what they are doing to get ahead of the storm. Here's Mary Green.
Governor Henry McMaster has declared a state of emergency here in South Carolina in anticipation of this storm's arrival. On Saturday, here at the state's Emergency Operations Center in Lexington County, he urged South Carolinians to do their part to be ready.
We are ready for this as we've ever been.
Some state operations are already in effect with crews positioned, while others will begin in the next few days or be on standby if help is needed, as the storm is expected to approach South Carolina's coast.
How close it gets is still to be determined, and that's going to determine the impact certainly.
As of now, there are no evacuation orders or shelters open, but officials stress that could change if the forecast changes.
In all that uncertainty, the only thing that is certain for sure is that your South Carolina team, representatives of most of whom you see here before you, are ready. We've been through it before. We know how to do it.
The state is expecting high winds, significant rainfall, and flooding near the coast. They say it could be felt as far inland as the Midlands. Storm surge flooding is a concern, and people who live in low-lying areas need to know where they'll go ahead of time if they can't stay at home.
It's important for all of us to have an emergency plan. Certainly having enough bottled water and non-perishable food to sustain the family for at least 3 days. Having the weather radio and the flashlight, extra batteries and chargers, and knowing where your important documents are, as the governor said, such as your birth certificates and insurance policies, in the event that you have to evacuate your home.
Saturday, of course, also marks 1 year since Helene hit South Carolina, the deadliest storm in the state in the last century. But officials remind South Carolinians they are prepared and say this one is a different storm that'll have different impacts in different areas. Reporting Lexington County, I'm Mary Green.
Mary, thanks for that. The city of Myrtle Beach is preparing for the potential tropical impacts. Mayor Brenda Bethune signed a declaration of emergency on Friday. Myrtle Beach's emergency management coordinator says the city is prepared and staffing up its public safety personnel, as crews are also checking the stormwater infrastructure systems. City leaders recommend that you should know your evacuation zones and have a bag packed ready to go if you need it. Some folks in the city are also preparing for the risk of the impacts of the storm. Jenna Guzman visited a location in Myrtle Beach where they spent the day filling sandbags.
And it may be nothing, but we can't be unprepared.
That's what Finance Director with the City of Myrtle Beach, Jeremy Roof, said about potential risk to the area from developing Imelda, which is why the city is providing the sand and the bags for people to stock up on sandbags.
What we have to do is we have to make sure that, depending on what the storm does, we're ahead of the storm and that we've got the best interests of the city and the residents in mind. 3
truckloads of sand was dumped in the Myrtle's Market parking lot, where waves of people came with shovels and filled up bags. The sand will be there while supplies last. This is just one of many ways people are preparing.
We already have an emergency kit together. We've got a first aid kit. We've got plenty of water, dog food, flashlights, things like that, just in case we need to get out in a hurry.
We have shades that we can put over the windows. We also have a big tube that we can put across the garage. And so we have everything pretty much ready. We've been through this before.
On Friday, the South Carolina governor declared a state of emergency in preparation for developing Imelda. Additionally, Horry County has moved to OPCON 2 on Saturday, meaning they are at a, quote, heightened state of awareness. Thomas Bell with Horry County Emergency Management explains what else this means.
That we are now at the point of we're starting to have those conversations with our partners at the state level, the local level, and making sure that our emergency plans are starting to just kind of get into order and be acted upon as needed.
Bell also encourages people to remain aware, especially when it comes to things like mitigating possible flood risk from the developing system.
So we want folks to be really aware of that kind of freshwater flooding rainfall event. So that includes obviously flash flooding, and then, potentially depending on how much falls where, we have to look at that possibility of riverine flooding, which does impact the county somewhat regularly from these tropical events.
Bell said another way to stay prepared is by staying aware of weather forecast. Make sure you are staying up to date with the constant changes in the forecast from our certified most accurate weather team. With these changes, our team is making sure you have the first alert to the impacts we could see here along the Grand Strand and PD. Our weather team will continue to get in new data overnight and tomorrow, and we will bring you the first alert. Reporting in Myrtle Beach, Jenna Guzman, WMBF News.
Jenna, thank you. And as you heard, Horry County officials are hard at work preparing for the potential impacts of the developing storm after declaring that local state of emergency on Friday afternoon. The county remains now at this hour at OPCON 2, meaning that they're operating at a heightened state of awareness with emergency plans starting to be implemented. All right, as we continue here, I want to remind you that you can stay on top of these stories and so much more by scanning the QR code on your screen, downloading the WMBF News app. You can catch up on everything that you missed, plus stay up to date throughout the day. Can't say it enough. Make sure you scan that QR code or simply search WMBF News in your app store. As we continue on this busy Sunday morning, the latest on a mass shooting in North Carolina. Stay with us.